What if I told you that the rarest woman in the world isn't the richest, the most beautiful, or the most famous? What if the rarest woman is simply the one who knows exactly who she is? We live in a world that teaches women to compete, compare, and conform. Every day, millions wake up trying to become someone else. But the women who truly change the world never begin by asking, how can I fit in? They begin by asking, why was I created? Because when a woman discovers her purpose, she doesn't just change her own life, she changes every life she touches. So today, don't ask yourself whether you're talented enough, beautiful enough, or successful enough. Ask yourself, why am I here? Because the world doesn't need more women trying to be perfect. It needs more women brave enough to be authentic. The rarest women are not rare because they have extraordinary gifts. They are rare because they have the courage to live with purpose. And perhaps the next rarest woman the world will see is already sitting in this room. Thank you. Imagine walking into a room filled with hundreds of people. Every one of them is talented. Every one of them has dreams, ambitions, and the desire to be successful. Yet, after a few years, only a handful of those people will truly make a lasting impact. The question is, what separates them from everyone else? Most people believe the answer is intelligence. Others think it's money, education, or luck. But if you look closely at the people who inspire us the most, you'll discover something different. They are driven by a reason bigger than themselves. They know why they do what they do. The rarest women in the world are not defined by what they own, the titles they hold, or the number of people who admire them. They are defined by the clarity of their purpose. Think about it for a moment. Every morning, millions of people wake up and immediately ask themselves, what do I have to do today? They rush through their routines, answer emails, attend meetings, complete assignments, and check off endless tasks. They're busy, but being busy isn't the same as being purposeful. Purpose begins with a different question. Instead of asking, what do I need to do? The rarest women ask, why does this matter? That single question changes everything. When your purpose is clear, challenges don't disappear, but they become easier to endure. Criticism doesn't stop hurting, but it no longer controls your decisions. Failure doesn't become enjoyable, but it becomes a teacher instead of an enemy. Purpose gives pain a reason. History is filled with women who faced impossible circumstances. They experienced rejection, discrimination, financial struggles, and heartbreaking losses. Yet they refused to quit because their vision was larger than their obstacles. They understood that a meaningful life is never built on comfort alone. It is built on conviction. The truth is, purpose is not something you accidentally discover while scrolling through social media or comparing your life to someone else's. Purpose grows quietly. It reveals itself through your values, your passions, the problems that move your heart, and the people you feel called to serve. Many people spend their lives chasing success, believing that once they become successful, they'll finally find happiness. But purpose reverses that order. When you pursue meaning first, success often becomes the byproduct. Imagine two women climbing the same mountain. From a distance, they appear identical. Both work hard. Both face steep paths and difficult weather. But one climbs only because everyone else is climbing. The other climbs because she knows someone waiting at the top needs what she has to offer. The second woman will keep climbing long after the first one gives up. Why? Because motivation can fade, but purpose endures. There will be mornings when you don't feel confident. There will be seasons when people misunderstand your intentions or underestimate your abilities. There will be moments when giving up seems easier than moving forward. During those moments, talent won't keep you going. Discipline alone won't always keep you going. External rewards won't always keep you going. But purpose will. Purpose reminds you that your life is connected to something greater than your fears. It whispers that someone, somewhere, may need the kindness you offer, the leadership you provide, the example you set, or the courage you display. You may never meet every person whose life you influence, but that doesn't make your influence any less real. The rarest women understand that they don't need to become someone else to make a difference. They don't spend their lives trying to fit into someone else's definition of success. Instead, they embrace who they are, develop the gifts they've been given, and use those gifts in service of others. That is what makes them unforgettable. So before asking yourself what career to pursue, what title to earn, or what achievement to chase, ask yourself a deeper question. What is the reason I want to do these things? What impact do I want to leave behind? What values do I want people to remember when they speak my name? Because the most extraordinary women are not remembered simply for what they accomplished. They are remembered because they knew why it mattered. Every meaningful journey begins with a decision that feels uncomfortable. It begins at the edge of certainty, where the path is unclear, the outcome is unknown, and fear whispers that it would be safer to stay exactly where you are. Most people mistake courage for the absence of fear. They believe courageous people never feel nervous, never doubt themselves, and never question whether they are good enough. But the truth is far more inspiring. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward despite it. The rarest women in the world understand this. They don't wait until they feel fearless before taking action. They know that if they wait for perfect confidence, they may wait forever. Instead, they make a decision that their purpose is greater than their fear. Think about a child learning to walk. No parent expects that child to stand up and take 10 perfect steps on the first attempt. Falling is part of learning. Every stumble strengthens muscles, improves balance, and builds confidence. Yet somewhere along the journey into adulthood, many people begin to believe that failure is something to avoid rather than something to learn from. We become so afraid of making mistakes that we stop trying new things altogether. The rarest women refuse to live that way. They understand that growth and comfort cannot exist in the same place for very long. Every promotion requires new responsibilities. Every dream demands sacrifice. Every meaningful relationship asks for vulnerability. Every great leader must be willing to make difficult decisions, even when they are unpopular. Comfort may feel safe, but it rarely transforms lives. Imagine standing on the shore, watching a ship anchored in the harbor. It looks secure. It is protected from storms and strong waves. But ships were never built to remain tied to the dock. They were built to cross oceans, discover new horizons, and carry something valuable to places that have never seen it before. People are no different. Many of us spend years protecting ourselves from disappointment. We avoid difficult conversations because they make us uncomfortable. We silence our ideas because we fear criticism. We postpone our dreams because we worry about failing in front of others. Little by little, we trade adventure for security until we forget what we were truly capable of becoming. The rarest women recognize that comfort can become a quiet prison. It doesn't lock the door with chains. Instead, it convinces you that staying where you are is enough. Even when your heart is calling you towards something greater, every remarkable achievement begins with someone deciding to take one step beyond what feels familiar. The entrepreneur starts a business without any guarantee of success. The student applies for the scholarship, despite believing thousands of others are more qualified. The mother returns to school because she refuses to let her circumstances define her future. The young woman speaks up in a meeting, even though her voice shakes. These moments may seem small, but they shape a life. The world often celebrates the final victory while overlooking the private moments of courage that made it possible. Before every success story came uncertainty. Before every breakthrough came doubt. Before every standing ovation came countless moments when someone questioned whether they should continue. What separates extraordinary women is not that they never experience fear. It is that they refuse to allow fear to become the author of their story. Fear will always offer excuses. It will tell you that you are too young, too old, too inexperienced, too ordinary, or too late. It will encourage you to compare yourself with people who seem more talented or more successful. But courage asks a different question. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Courage asks, what if I succeed? What if taking this one step changes not only my life, but the lives of everyone I influence? The rarest women understand that courage is contagious. When one woman dares to pursue her purpose, she quietly gives others permission to pursue theirs. A daughter watches her mother persevere through hardship and learns resilience. A colleague watches a leader make an ethical decision under pressure and learns integrity. A friend watches someone rise after failure and discovers hope for her own journey. This is how change begins. Not through perfect people, but through courageous ones. So when you stand at the crossroads between comfort and growth, remember this. Your future will rarely be built by the choices that feel easiest. It will be built by the choices that require faith, perseverance, and courage. The rarest women are not fearless. They simply understand that fear is a passenger, not the driver. They choose to move forward anyway, and in doing so, they discover a life far greater than the one fear tried to convince them to settle for. One of the greatest myths our world has taught us is that success is a competition. We are constantly encouraged to compare ourselves with others, to compare our achievements, our appearance, our careers, our relationships, and even our happiness. From an early age, many people begin to believe that if someone else succeeds, there is somehow less success left for them. It creates a mindset of scarcity, where another person's victory feels like our defeat. But the rarest women in the world think differently. They understand that life is not a race against one another. It is an opportunity to grow together. They know that true leadership is not measured by how many people stand behind you, but by how many people stand stronger because of you. Think about the people who have changed your life. Chances are they were not the smartest person in the room or the wealthiest person you knew. They were the ones who believed in you before you believed in yourself. They encouraged you when you wanted to quit. They celebrated your victories without jealousy and reminded you of your potential when you had forgotten it. That is the power of lifting others. The rarest women recognize that influence is not about collecting followers. It is about creating more leaders. They understand that when they share knowledge, opportunities, and encouragement, they are not losing anything. They are multiplying what they have. Imagine a single candle lighting another candle. Does the first candle become dimmer? Of course not. It continues to shine just as brightly while allowing another light to illuminate the darkness. In fact, the more candles that are lit, the brighter the entire room becomes. People are much the same. When you help another woman discover her confidence, your confidence is not reduced. When you mentor someone beginning her journey, your experience does not disappear. When you celebrate another person's success, your own future does not become smaller. Instead, you create an environment where everyone has the opportunity to grow. Unfortunately, comparison often blinds us to this truth. Comparison steals joy because it focuses on someone else's chapter while ignoring your own story. You compare your beginning to someone else's middle. You compare your struggles to another person's highlight reel. And before long, you begin questioning your own worth, simply because your journey looks different. The rarest women refuse to measure themselves this way. Instead of asking, "Why is she succeeding?" they ask, "What can I learn from her success?" Instead of feeling threatened by excellence, they become inspired by it. They understand that another person's achievement is proof that great things are possible, not proof that opportunities are running out. This mindset changes relationships. Imagine a workplace where women genuinely support one another instead of competing for recognition. Imagine classrooms where students celebrate each other's accomplishments instead of feeling jealous. Imagine families where encouragement replaces criticism and cooperation replaces comparison. Those environments become places where people thrive because trust replaces fear. Real leadership always begins with trust. When people know you genuinely want them to succeed, they are willing to learn from you, work with you, and grow alongside you. They feel safe sharing ideas, admitting mistakes, and taking risks because they know they will be encouraged rather than judged. That kind of environment doesn't happen by accident. It is created by people who choose generosity over ego. The rarest women understand that every person they meet is fighting a battle others cannot see. A smile, a kind word, a sincere compliment, or a simple act of encouragement may become the turning point in someone's life. Sometimes the greatest gift you can offer another person is not advice, money, or influence. Sometimes it is simply believing in them when they are struggling to believe in themselves. History reminds us that no one achieves greatness alone. Behind every remarkable leader, there are mentors who offered wisdom, teachers who invested time, friends who provided encouragement, and families who gave unwavering support. Success has always been a shared journey. That is why the rarest women choose collaboration over competition. They understand that the strongest communities are built by people who celebrate each other's victories, learn from one another's experiences, and stand together during life's challenges. At the end of the day, people may forget the awards you received or the positions you held. They may not remember every speech you gave or every achievement you accomplished. But they will always remember how you made them feel. They will remember whether your presence inspired confidence or created fear. They will remember whether you opened doors for others or closed them behind you. True greatness is never measured by how high you climb alone. It is measured by how many people you help rise with you. The rarest women understand this simple truth. When one woman succeeds with integrity and chooses to lift others along the way, she doesn't just change individual lives. She helps build a stronger, kinder, and more hopeful world for everyone. Every person has a story. Some stories begin with encouragement and opportunity. Others begin with loss, disappointment, rejection, or hardship. If we looked around this room today, we would see smiles, confidence, and success. But what we cannot see are the silent battles people have fought to get here. Behind every smile is a chapter no one else has read. Behind every achievement is a struggle that shaped the person standing before us. The rarest women in the world understand something that many people never learn. Pain is not the end of the story. It is often the beginning of a new one. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid pain. They believe that a meaningful life is one without failure, heartbreak, or disappointment. But life doesn't work that way. Every great journey includes seasons of uncertainty. Every meaningful dream comes with moments of doubt. Every person who has made a difference in the world has faced obstacles that seemed impossible to overcome. The question is not whether pain will come. The question is, what will you do with it when it arrives? There are two ways to respond to hardship. One way is to let it define you. To believe that because you failed once, you will always fail. To believe that because someone rejected you, you are not worthy. To believe that because life became difficult, your dreams are no longer possible. The other way is to let pain refine you. Refining is a powerful process. Gold becomes valuable only after it passes through intense heat. Diamonds are formed under enormous pressure. Even a seed must first be buried in darkness before it can grow into a tree. Nature reminds us that growth often begins in places that feel uncomfortable. Human life is no different. The rarest women refuse to see themselves as victims of their circumstances. They acknowledge their wounds, but they do not allow those wounds to become their identity. Instead, they ask a different question. Rather than saying, "Why did this happen to me?" they begin asking, "What can this experience teach me? How can this pain become a source of strength for someone else?" That shift changes everything. Think about the people who inspire you the most. They are rarely admired because they had perfect lives. They inspire us because they endured difficult seasons without losing hope. Their struggles gave them wisdom. Their failures taught them resilience. Their disappointments developed compassion. Their scars became reminders, not of defeat, but of survival. There is a difference between a wound and a scar. A wound is open, painful, and still healing. A scar tells a different story. It says, "Something tried to break me, but I recovered." Scars are evidence that healing is possible. The rarest women wear their scars with quiet confidence. They do not pretend life has been easy. They simply refuse to let their hardest moments have the final word. And something remarkable happens when people choose healing instead of bitterness. Their pain begins to serve a purpose beyond themselves. A woman who has overcome rejection knows how to encourage someone who feels forgotten. A woman who has experienced financial hardship understands the value of generosity. A woman who has walked through grief often becomes the person who offers the deepest comfort to others facing loss. The very experiences that once caused tears become the source of empathy, wisdom, and hope. That is how pain becomes purpose. Life has a way of preparing us through challenges we never would have chosen. At the time, those challenges feel unfair. We ask why doors are closing, why plans are falling apart, or why the road ahead seems so uncertain. Yet when we look back years later, we often realize those difficult moments shaped qualities that success alone could never have taught us. They taught patience when we wanted quick answers. They taught humility when pride was growing. They taught perseverance when quitting seemed easier. Perhaps the greatest gift hidden inside pain is compassion. People who have suffered often become the first to notice when someone else is hurting. They know what loneliness feels like, so they choose inclusion. They know what failure feels like, so they offer encouragement instead of judgment. They know what hopelessness feels like, so they become carriers of hope. That is what makes them extraordinary. So if you are carrying pain today, remember this. Your current chapter is not your entire story. The difficulty you face today may become the wisdom you share tomorrow. The tears you cry today may become the words that give someone else the courage to keep going. Your greatest setback may one day become the very reason someone else believes they can overcome theirs. The rarest women do not become extraordinary because they never experience hardship. They become extraordinary because they choose not to waste it. They allow every challenge to shape their character, deepen their compassion, strengthen their faith, and prepare them to lift others. In the end, they discover that the most powerful people are not those who have never been broken, but those who have learned how to transform brokenness into purpose, hope, and lasting impact. In a world that celebrates appearances, followers, and public recognition, it is easy to believe that success is measured by what people see. We spend countless hours building our image, polishing our resumes, improving our social media profiles, and trying to create an impression that others will admire. But there is a question that is far more important than, what do people think of me? The better question is, who am I when no one is watching? That question reveals character. The rarest women in the world understand that true greatness is not built on reputation alone. Reputation is what people say about you after you leave the room. Character is who you are when the room is empty. Reputation can be created in a moment, but character is built one decision at a time. It is formed in the quiet choices that no one applauds, the promises you keep even when breaking them would be easier, and the values you refuse to compromise even when no one would ever know. Integrity is not a single act. It is a way of living. Imagine building a beautiful house. From the outside, everything looks perfect. The paint is fresh, the windows sparkle, and the design is impressive. But if the foundation underneath is weak, the house cannot withstand a storm. The first strong wind or heavy rain will expose what was hidden all along. Human life works the same way. Your skills may open doors. Your talent may create opportunities. Your intelligence may earn promotions. But only your integrity determines how long you remain trusted once those doors are open. Trust is one of the most valuable things a person can earn, yet it is also one of the easiest things to lose. It is not built through grand speeches or impressive achievements. It grows through consistency. It grows when your words match your actions. It grows when people know they can depend on you, even in difficult circumstances. Every honest decision, every fulfilled promise, and every act of fairness places another brick in the foundation of trust. The rarest women understand that trust is more valuable than temporary success. They refuse to sacrifice lasting respect for short-term gain. There will always be moments when compromise seems easier. It may be tempting to exaggerate the truth, to impress others, to take credit for someone else's work, or to remain silent when speaking up would be uncomfortable. Those choices may offer temporary advantages, but they come at a hidden cost. Every compromise weakens character a little more. Over time, small compromises become habits, and habits shape the person we become. Integrity asks us to choose what is right instead of what is easy. That choice is rarely convenient. Sometimes honesty costs opportunities. Sometimes fairness requires sacrifice. Sometimes standing for your values means standing alone. Yet history reminds us that the people who leave the greatest legacy are not those who always chose comfort. They are those who chose principle, even when it demanded courage. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are, you admire them not only because of what they accomplished, but because of how they accomplished it. Their success feels meaningful because it was built on honesty, respect, humility, and responsibility. They earned influence by earning trust. The rarest women recognize that leadership begins with example. They understand that people are always watching, especially during difficult moments. Children watch how their parents respond to disappointment. Friends notice how loyalty is demonstrated during hard times. Colleagues observe whether success changes a person's humility or strengthens it. Every action quietly teaches others what matters most. That is why integrity has such extraordinary influence. It inspires without demanding attention. It also creates peace. When your actions align with your values, you no longer need to remember different versions of the truth or wear different masks for different audiences. You become the same person at home, at work, in public, and in private. There is freedom in that kind of authenticity because you are no longer performing for approval. You are simply living according to the principles you believe in. The rarest women know that perfection is impossible, but honesty is always a choice. They are willing to admit mistakes, apologize when they are wrong, learn from failure, and continue growing. They understand that integrity is not about never falling short. It is about refusing to hide when you do. Owning your mistakes often builds more trust than pretending you never made them. At the end of life, people may forget your job title, your awards, or the number of achievements listed beside your name. But they will remember whether they could trust you. They will remember whether your words brought encouragement or division, whether your actions reflected kindness or selfishness, and whether you treated people with dignity regardless of their position or status. The rarest women leave behind more than accomplishments. They leave behind confidence, respect, and credibility. They understand that character is the one possession no one can give you and no one can take away. It is built choice by choice, day by day. And when your character becomes your greatest strength, your influence reaches far beyond success. It becomes a legacy that continues to inspire long after your voice has grown silent. Imagine attending your own retirement celebration. Family, friends, colleagues, and people whose lives you've touched gather in one room. They stand one by one to speak about you. As you listen, what do you hope they will say? Will they remember your salary? Will they remember the number of awards you collected? Will they remember the expensive things you owned? Probably not. What they will remember is something far more valuable. They will remember how you made them feel. They will remember whether you gave them hope when they had none, whether you believed in them when they doubted themselves, and whether your presence made their lives better. That is the difference between success and legacy. Success is about what you achieve. Legacy is about what you leave behind. The rarest women in the world understand this difference. They know that achievements are temporary, but influence can last for generations. A trophy gathers dust. A title eventually belongs to someone else. Wealth changes hands. But the values you teach, the kindness you show, and the lives you shape continue long after you are gone. Think about the people who have influenced your life the most. Perhaps it was a teacher who saw potential in you before anyone else did. Maybe it was a parent who sacrificed comfort so you could have opportunities they never had. Perhaps it was a mentor who encouraged you to keep going when you were ready to quit. Many of those people may never have become famous. They may never have appeared on television or written best-selling books, yet their impact on your life is priceless. Why? Because they invested in people instead of simply pursuing personal success. That is what legacy looks like. Too often, society encourages us to ask the wrong questions. We ask, how can I become more successful? How can I earn more? How can I receive more recognition? These questions are not wrong, but they are incomplete. The rarest women ask a deeper question. Whose life will be better because I lived? That single question changes the direction of a life. When your goal is only personal success, every decision revolves around yourself. But when your goal is legacy, every decision begins to include others. You become more generous with your time because you realize someone needs your guidance. You become more patient because you understand that growth takes time. You become more compassionate because you know everyone is carrying battles you cannot see. Legacy transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary opportunities. A conversation with a child becomes an opportunity to shape confidence. A kind word to a struggling colleague becomes an opportunity to restore hope. Helping someone discover their potential becomes an investment whose return you may never fully witness. This is how lasting influence is created. Not through one grand event, but through thousands of small moments lived with purpose. The remarkable thing about legacy is that it does not require fame. You do not have to lead a nation, build a global company, or become a celebrity to leave a lasting mark on the world. Every person has influence. Every interaction leaves an impression. Every choice becomes part of the story others will remember about you. A smile can change someone's day. Encouragement can change someone's confidence. Belief can change someone's future. Never underestimate the power of simple acts repeated consistently over time. The rarest women also understand that legacy requires planting seeds whose harvest they may never see. A farmer plants knowing someone else may enjoy the fruit years later. In the same way, a mentor invests in people knowing they may surpass her. A mother teaches values that her children will pass on to their own families. A leader creates opportunities so others can shine, even if no one remembers who opened the door. That kind of leadership is rare because it is selfless. It is easy to chase applause. It is much harder to build people, but building people is what changes the world. Imagine if every woman decided that her greatest achievement would not be measured by the position she reached, but by the number of lives she lifted. Imagine communities where women encouraged rather than competed, served rather than sought recognition, and focused on contribution instead of comparison. Families would become stronger. Workplaces would become healthier. future generations would inherit not only knowledge, but also character, compassion, and courage. That is the power of legacy. At the end of your journey, the world will not ask how much you accumulated. It will ask what you contributed. It will not measure the size of your bank account, but the size of your impact. It will remember whether your words healed or hurt, whether your actions inspired trust or fear, and whether your life made it easier for others to believe in themselves. The rarest women never live only for today. They make choices with tomorrow in mind. They understand that every act of kindness, every lesson shared, every hand extended, and every person encouraged becomes part of a legacy that continues to grow long after they are gone. They do not simply leave memories. They leave people who are stronger, wiser, and more hopeful because they had the privilege of knowing them. And in the end, that is the greatest success anyone can ever achieve. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your open hearts. I hope today's message inspires you to discover your purpose, embrace your courage, and become one of the rarest women in the world. Goodbye, and remember, the world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be authentically you. May you leave today with confidence, purpose, and the courage to make a difference.